Stop scrolling, because what I'm about to drop makes Tristan Thompson's cheating scandals look like playground gossip. A wiretap, yes, a full-blown government-level caught you slipping wiretap has allegedly put Lil Durk right in the crosshairs, linking his name to the tragic end of King Von in a way that's got the internet spiraling out of control. This isn't your average messy breakup headline or some rapper getting exposed for ghostwriting. This is the kind of leak that flips loyalty on its head and makes people question whether hip-hop brotherhood is real or just another PR stunt wrapped in auto-tune. Imagine Netflix's Narcos crashing into Love and Hip-Hop, then colliding with CSI, Chicago. That's the energy of this scandal. Fans are screaming betrayal, rivals are sharpening their diss tracks, and Twitter detectives are suddenly acting like they passed law school overnight. Every second this story spins, more smoke rises, and the question won't go away. Is Lil Durk the loyal soldier he's always portrayed, or has the mask finally slipped? Stay locked in, because this isn't just tea, it's molten lava. By the end of this video, you'll either be defending Durk harder than his lawyers, or side-eyeing him forever. The second the alleged wiretap leaked, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. And I'm not talking about a regular scandal explosion where people make memes for 24 hours and move on. No. This was more like someone pulled the fire alarm inside hip-hop's mansion, and every single fan, critic, and rival rapper came running out, screaming and pointing fingers. At the center of it all, Lil Durk, Mr. Voice of the Streets. The guy who turned pain into platinum records and losses into loyalty anthems. He wasn't just some rapper caught up in a messy rumor. He was the poster child for authenticity. The one artists called solid. The one fans believed couldn't be touched. And now, his name was sitting next to words like wiretap, betrayal, and Von. That's not just drama, that's reputational TNT. Let's rewind for context. Lil Durk and King Von's story is practically legend. Von wasn't just Durk's collaborator, he was his brother in blood, sweat, and street scars. Their bond was marketed as unbreakable, a real-life version of loyalty the industry often fakes. When Von's life was cut short in Atlanta, the grief hit like a sledgehammer. Durk publicly mourned, dedicated performances to Von, even tattooed him, because that's how deep it went. Fans looked at Durk as Von's eternal protector, the man carrying his legacy forward. So when whispers started surfacing that this supposed wiretap painted a different picture, the internet didn't just sip tea. They poured gasoline on the cup and set it on fire. Bloggers called it the ultimate betrayal. Forums compared it to Brutus stabbing Caesar. Memes had Durk photoshopped into Game of Thrones scenes, sitting on the Iron Throne with captions like, "The King's betrayal was foretold." The whole situation turned into a digital circus with Durk as the unwilling ringleader. The audio itself, grainy, hard to confirm, but juicy enough to go viral, allegedly hinted at conversations that tied Durk closer to Von's fate than fans ever imagined. Whether authentic or not didn't matter. Perception became reality in real time. People played it on loop, dissected every word like they were cracking the Da Vinci Code, and argued endlessly over whether the voice was even Durk's. Reactions came fast and brutal. Supporters of Von, still raw with grief, felt like they'd been hit with a second tragedy. The idea that someone Von trusted could have played even the smallest role in his downfall was too much to process. Twitter timelines looked like collective heartbreak, with fans writing, "If this is true, I can't ever look at Durk the same." But here's the wild part. Not everyone was ready to throw Durk under the bus. A massive wave of defenders rose up, saying the leak was nothing but clout chasing, an attempt to smear a man who's been winning too hard. They pointed out how fake stories have always circled Durk, how prosecutors love dangling his name, and how haters would stop at nothing to see him fall. To these fans, the wiretap wasn't evidence. It was entertainment for people too bored with their own lives. Still, the damage was done. Industry insiders started whispering about cancelled shows, features being put on pause, and brands quietly backing away. Nobody wanted to get burned standing too close to a firestorm this explosive. Meanwhile, Durk stayed mostly silent, posting cryptic captions that only fueled more speculation. A single loyalty over everything Instagram story had blogs foaming, turning 7 words into 7,000 think pieces. And let's not forget the trolls. Oh, the trolls had a field day. TikTok edits popped up with Von's songs layered over alleged wiretap snippets. YouTube commentators swore they had exclusive breakdowns of the audio. turning rumor into revenue with clickbait titles louder than DJ Khaled yelling his own name. The internet doesn't care about evidence. It cares about entertainment. And this saga delivered more than HBO on a Sunday night. But the most chilling part? The way fans began to question every detail of Durk and Von's past. Old interviews resurfaced. People slowed down footage of them on stage together, pointing out body language like they were analyzing a political debate. Look at Von's face here. He knew something, one viral tweet claimed, pulling thousands of likes. Suddenly, their legendary bond wasn't celebrated. It was scrutinized under a microscope so harsh, it would make the CIA jealous. And the streets whispered even louder. Conversations in barbershops, clubs, and hood corners turned the scandal into folklore. Some claimed they'd heard about this months ago, acting like prophets who'd predicted the downfall. Others dismissed it as a setup, saying real ones know the truth can't be found on a leaked audio file. Either way, Durk's name was hot, and not in the way chart toppers like it. This was no longer just a question of guilt or innocence. It was a battle for reputation, for legacy, for how history would remember Lil Durk. Because in hip-hop, your name carries weight long after your songs stop charting. One scandal, one wiretap, one questionable headline that can rewrite your story forever. And that's exactly why this alleged leak cuts so deep. It wasn't just gossip. It was a direct hit on the image Durk had carefully built. The narrative of loyalty and pain he turned into art. If even a fraction of this was true, fans weren't just losing a favorite rapper, they were losing faith in the very idea of brotherhood that hip-hop has preached since day one. The scandal wasn't slowing down. It was snowballing, gaining speed and crushing everything in its path. Each hour brought new memes, new theories, new videos with millions of views. The culture wasn't just watching, it was obsessed. And whether Durk wanted it or not, his name had become the headline of a drama bigger than music itself. If the initial wiretap leak was a spark, what happened next was a wildfire that made California summers look like a candlelight dinner. The controversy didn't just escalate, it mutated into something so chaotic, it had the entire culture spinning in circles like a hamster on Red Bull. Celebrities, bloggers, athletes, and even random politicians who have no business commenting on hip-hop suddenly had something to say. Everyone wanted a piece of this mess, because in today's world, clout isn't earned. It's scavenged off the carcass of somebody else's downfall. The first big celebrity to chime in, none other than 50 Cent, of course, because if there's drama, you can bet your last $50 is somewhere with popcorn and a petty tweet ready. He posted a cryptic Instagram meme showing a man wearing a wire under his shirt with the caption, "I told y'all, these dudes ain't solid out. Here." Fans instantly connected the dots to Durk. Whether Fifth was serious or trolling didn't matter. He'd just thrown gasoline on the already raging inferno. Then Meek Mill popped up, talking about real ones never fold in a Twitter rant that people immediately tied to Durk. Was Meek shading him or just running his usual motivational speaker routine? The internet didn't care. Screenshots flew, blogs screamed headlines, and suddenly it looked like half the industry was hinting that Durk's throne was wobbling. But the internet doesn't stop at subtle shade, it craves chaos. Soon, fake DMs allegedly from Von's sister started circulating, suggesting she'd always felt funny about Durk. Were they real? Probably not. Did people believe them? Absolutely. It's 2025, and people believe screenshots more than they believe their own family members. The memes, though, were pure savagery. One viral TikTok had a guy dressed as Durk lip-syncing into a police scanner, while another guy in a Von costume danced cluelessly in the background. Another had SpongeBob wearing a headset with the caption, "Lil Durk on the wire like." These edits racked up millions of views in hours. What was once a brotherhood tragedy had morphed into a global comedy roast session. And let's not forget the YouTube detectives, the self-appointed CSI agents of hip-hop culture. Channels with names like Street Truth TV and Rap Leaks Uncovered dropped exclusive breakdowns of the wiretap. They paused every second of audio like it was the Zapruder film, claiming they could prove the voice was or wasn't Durk's. These breakdowns had more jump cuts than a Marvel movie and more fake confidence than a politician in campaign season. Still, fans ate it up. Campaign season. Still, fans ate it up. But then came the twist that turned an already insane situation into something out of Black Mirror. Rumors of a second unreleased wiretap. According to whispers on forums, there was another recording that allegedly went even deeper into Durk and Von's business. Nobody had actually heard it, but that didn't matter. People started speculating like it was the next season of Stranger Things. Headlines screamed, "Another Wiretap could drop any day now." Just the idea of it kept fans glued to their screens. The public outrage hit new highs. Twitter Spaces hosted all-night debates where fans screamed at each other over whether Durk was guilty of betrayal or a victim of fake leaks. Some called for boycotts of his music. Others doubled down, saying this was just another attempt to take down a black man at the top of the game. The culture split in half, Team Von versus Team Durk, and the arguments got nastier than Thanksgiving dinner at a dysfunctional family reunion. Even NBA players started chiming in. Ja Morant, because of course he did, posted a story listening to King Von's music with the caption, "Loyalty means everything." Fans saw it as a subtle diss toward Durk. Other athletes followed suit, liking shady tweets and dropping cryptic comments. It felt like the hip-hop scandal of the decade had bled into the sports world. And then came the mainstream media. CNN ran a segment on it, trying to explain who Lil Durk and King Von were to an audience that still thinks Tupac is the most recent rapper. The anchor actually mispronounced Durk's name as Lil Durk, and the clip instantly went viral for all the wrong reasons. Fox News, meanwhile, called it proof that rap culture promotes crime, because of course they did. Suddenly, what started as a leaked wiretap had turned into a national conversation about hip-hop, loyalty, and street culture. But the most dramatic fallout came from the fans themselves. Von's supporters began organizing online campaigns with hashtags like Justice for Von and Durk Exposed. Petitions started circulating demanding Durk be banned from festivals. And here's the kicker. They gained tens of thousands of signatures in days. Cancel culture wasn't just knocking on the door, it had kicked it down and was sitting on Durk's couch eating his snacks. Yet at the same time, Durk's defenders went just as hard. They flooded comment sections, posting snake emojis under Von-related accounts to imply betrayal. They argued that Von himself wouldn't want Durk slandered like this, painting the wiretap as nothing more than fabricated noise. The internet was in a civil war, with every post, every story, every comment weaponized in the name of loyalty or outrage. And through all this chaos, Durk himself, silent. His silence was louder than any diss track. Every time he didn't respond, the conspiracy theories got wilder. People said he was plotting his next move. Others said he was negotiating with people behind the scenes. Some even claimed his silence was proof of guilt. The man couldn't win. If he talked, he'd be attacked. If he stayed quiet, he'd be accused. It was the ultimate lose-lose situation. The scandal had officially left orbit. It wasn't just a hip-hop conversation anymore. It was a pop culture event. Even TikTok influencers who couldn't name 3 Durk songs were using the wiretap audio in skits. Fashion bloggers were analyzing how scandals affect celebrity brand deals. Even astrology accounts chimed in, saying Durk's zodiac sign explains everything. By this point, the outrage was so intense, it didn't even feel like real life anymore. It felt like one of those dystopian reality shows, where the whole world votes on whether someone gets cancelled or spared. Lil Durk wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was a gladiator in the cultural coliseum, fighting for survival while the crowd roared for blood. And the scariest part, this was only the beginning. When the smoke from the memes and Twitter wars started to clear, the world was left staring at the wreckage of Lil Durk's reputation, like a car crash you just can't look away from. What began as a leaked wiretap rumor had mutated into an all-out cultural earthquake. The aftermath was so messy, even reality TV producers were probably taking notes for their next season of chaos. First, let's talk about the music industry's reaction. Record labels love you when you're hot, but the second controversy comes knocking. They treat you like last week's leftovers. Insiders whispered that certain festival promoters were reviewing Durk's slot. Translation? They were waiting to see if public opinion tanked, so they could quietly snatch him off the lineup. Nothing screams loyalty like a business deal, right? Then came the brands. Remember how Travis Scott lost partnerships overnight after Astroworld? Yeah. Durk's camp started facing the same quiet calls. Sneaker collabs? Put on pause. Energy drink deals? Suddenly, under review. In the cutthroat world of endorsements, no one wants their logo sitting next to the words leaked wiretap. That's not synergy, that's PR suicide. But the streets? Oh, the streets had their own court system, and the verdicts weren't looking good. In Chicago, fans and rivals alike were dissecting every lyric Durk had ever written. searching for clues. Old songs got dragged up like ancient artifacts. One fan posted a clip of Durk rapping about loyalty and captioned it, "The math ain't mathin'." The video went viral faster than a cat falling off a counter. Meanwhile, King Von's legacy only grew stronger. Fans painted him as the ultimate victim, loyal to the end, betrayed by forces beyond his control. Murals of Von popped up in cities across the country, with captions like "real until death." The contrast between Von's rising martyr status and Durk's crumbling image couldn't have been more dramatic if Shakespeare himself had scripted it. And then came the family angle, the one thing that always turns a scandal nuclear. Von's relatives, who had stayed relatively quiet in the initial chaos, started speaking out. One cousin went live on Instagram, crying while saying, "If this is true, we lost Von twice, once to the streets and again to betrayal." That clip broke the internet. Fans flooded Durk's comments demanding answers, while others swore they'd never stream his music again. The silence from Durk was now deafening. Weeks passed and still no statement. In an era where celebs drop notes app apologies faster than they drop singles, his refusal to say anything only deepened the mystery. Was he planning a tell-all interview? A diss track? A lawsuit? Nobody knew. And because nobody knew, speculation filled the void like gasoline flooding a fire. But just when you thought the scandal couldn't get any wilder, it did. A rumor started circulating that Durk had been approached by Netflix for a documentary deal. Allegedly, they wanted to turn the entire saga, Von's death, the wiretap, the fan wars, into a limited series. Imagine that. The very scandal that was tearing his image apart could also make him millions. Only in 2025 could betrayal rumors become potential Emmy bait. Still, the consequences hit harder than a heavyweight punch. Radio stations began pulling his songs from rotation in certain cities. Podcasts dedicated whole episodes to the fall of Lil Durk. Even high school debates used him as an example of loyalty versus betrayal. He wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was a case study in controversy, and while his career was spiraling, his personal relationships weren't safe either. Friends who once shouted OTF forever on Instagram stories, suddenly quiet. Collaborators who hyped him last year, mysteriously absent. In the cutthroat music industry, silence is the loudest unfollow. But the internet doesn't let anyone rest, not even for a second. TikTok creators kept the story alive by making entire series like Day 47 of waiting for Durk's response. Others stitched old interviews of Von and Durk together, splicing them with dramatic music like it was an episode of Dateline. It was brutal, it was messy, and it was relentless. At this point, Durk's career was standing on a knife's edge. If he stayed silent, fans would write their own ending to the story. And spoiler alert, it wouldn't be flattering. If he spoke up, he risked confirming details that could either backfire legally or socially. It was the ultimate catch-22. And here's where it gets Shakespearean. The scandal flipped the hip-hop narrative on its head. Usually it's outsiders accusing rappers of crimes, but here it was the streets accusing their own star of betrayal. The same community that built Durk into a legend was now dissecting him like a science experiment gone wrong. But the biggest consequence, trust, or rather, the total destruction of it. In hip-hop, loyalty isn't just a theme, it's the currency. Without it, you're broke, even if you've got millions in the bank. And in the eyes of many, the wiretap, real or not, made Durk look bankrupt. Yet, here's the crazy part. While half the world was cancelling him, the other half was still streaming his music more than ever. Because let's be real, controversy sells. His numbers spiked, his YouTube comments blew up, and his name stayed trending for weeks. It was the perfect example of the internet's twisted rule. The more they hate you, the more they watch you. So, what's the final takeaway? Lil Durk's career may never be the same. He's either going to rise from this scandal like a phoenix, or crash and burn like a bad fireworks show. There's no middle ground. The wiretap, the memes, the celebrity shade, the fan wars. This wasn't just a moment. It was a turning point in rap culture. The streets may never look at him the same. His collaborators may tread carefully. His enemies? Oh, they're celebrating like it's New Year's Eve. But one thing's for sure. This scandal has carved his name deeper into hip-hop history than any hit single ever could. And the scariest part? The streets are wispy. And the scariest part? The streets are whispering about more tapes, more leaks, more receipts, which means this saga might not be ending. It might just be getting started. And there you have it, folks. Lil Durk's name caught in a storm that makes reality TV look like Sesame Street. From leaked wiretaps, to fan-led investigations, to TikTok trials and celebrity shade, this scandal isn't just messy, it's legendary. But here's the thing. I want to know what you think. Was Durk really caught slipping? Or is this just another internet witch hunt with receipts that don't quite add up? Drop your theories in the comments and don't hold back. The wilder, the better. Because let's be honest, this whole saga already feels like a script Hollywood would reject for being too unbelievable. And while you're down there, don't just tap that like button. Smash it like you're trying to break into Area 51. Hit subscribe like it owes you money, and ring that notification bell so hard. Your neighbors wonder if you joined a drumline. Because here's the deal. Scandals don't sleep, and neither do we. Tomorrow's headlines are already being written today, and you know the rap truth is going to be the first to drop the receipts, the rumors, and the raw drama, served hotter than a summer sidewalk in Atlanta. So if you live for chaos, if you thrive on secrets spilling faster than leaked mixtapes, you're in the right place. Stick with us, because when the next bombshell drops, and trust me, it will, you'll want front row seats. Until then, stay nosy, stay savage, and remember, in the rap game, loyalty lasts about as long as a TikTok trend. This is the rap truth, signing off from the eye of the storm.